And coming up here on Joy News Prime, 24 hours after President TUFFOUR stated that it is mandatory for Ghanaians to wear face masks, many defy the directive, insisting God will protect them.
According to Bible, no, Exodus 7:15, no, me read the Bible and I'm in Nyankopon kwai. Obi kita yare according to me, on to me family because me say yesu.
As final year university students return to school amidst fear of contracting COVID-19, the University of Ghana Pro Vice Chancellor says students can stay at home and choose an online option.
Should do what they are comfortable with. If you are happy and safe where you are, please stay there. But if you are not, we have also made arrangements to receive students who wish to come to campus.
Also tonight, the opposition NDC claims out of the 631 campaign promises by the NPP government, only 86 promises have been delivered, representing 14%.
After thorough analysis, combing through documents, what they have told us in Parliament, either through the budget, either through the state of the message on the state of the nation, ladies and gentlemen, it will shock you to realize that only 86 out of these 631 promises have been delivered.
But in a quick rebuttal, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah is accusing the NDC of falsely increasing the manifesto promises of the NPP to 631 instead of 388.
So-called claimed 14% will not even be believed by the hardcore NDC members. If you ask them, they themselves will not score President Akufo-Addo 14%. On his record so far.
And coming up later in business.
Ghana Immigration Service intercepts 141 gallons of smuggled fuel along a flour border.
We dispatched officers to go there to go and then monitor. When we went, we saw packed gallons of fuel.
My name is Ernest Mino. Joy News Prime is live from our studios here at Kukumlemle in Accra on digital address GA09925331. Also on digital terrestrial television because we are free to air. This bulletin is also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV 144. Please stay for details. Hello there, let's settle for the details now. Barely 24 hours after President Akufo-Addo announced that it is mandatory for Ghanaians to wear face masks, some are defying the directive already and walking the street without face masks. Latif Idris has been speaking with some defiant Ghanaians who justified their decision not to wear the masks, saying their supernatural protection in God will save them.
The COVID-19 pandemic continues to spread in Ghana like a wildfire, with cases now standing at 11,964, Ghana is now 36 cases shy of reaching the 12,000 milestone. Cognizance of that grim picture, the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, in his 11th address to the nation, made this declaration.
Residents of these 4 regions, and indeed all Ghanaians, must remember that the wearing of masks is now mandatory. Leaving our homes without a face mask or face covering on is an offense. The police have been instructed to enforce this directive, which is the subject of an executive instrument.
But on the streets of Accra, barely 24 hours after that declaration by the President, a lot more people are not adhering to the protocol of wearing face masks.
According to me, no, and I say according to Bible, no, Exodus 7:15, no, me read the Bible and I'm in Nyankopon kwai.
I believe I cannot be infected because the Bible says disease cannot be transferred. The safety measures cannot work for me.
Comply very well by putting on my face mask, having hand sanitizers and stuff. I don't believe face masks should be worn just while walking on the streets at all times. Face masks should be worn only or mostly when you're interacting with people, when you're about to board a vehicle, and well, you can't stand alone and put a face mask.
We are on the streets, and we have some people, they don't have the money to buy the nose mask. When you go to Italy, Germany, and those countries, the government bought it for them, free. But here, they say they give them money. And the money to me like this, nobody buy anything for me. You, nobody buy anything for you. So that money where they give them, what are they doing with that money?
Now, health experts have raised alarm over the increase in cases of coronavirus recorded in Ghana this month, calling for urgent measures from government to curb the spread. In a panel discussion on Joy Prime's morning show Monday, Adjunct Professor of the School of Global Public Health at the University of New York, Nana Kofi Kwachi, says the increase means more Ghanaians are contracting the disease in their community and something must be done. President Akufo-Addo announced Sunday that Ghana has recorded 11,964 cases, representing an increase of 157. Nana Kofi Kwachi explains why and gives a remedy.
We need to do public health interventions in the communities that go beyond just testing and tracing, because testing and tracing are efforts to catch up with the virus. We need to slow it down so we make sure that we can actually get our hands around it. And that inherently means we're going to have to consider things like localized lockdowns or curfews or other things that slow the rate of spread. Does that have a cost economically? Yes. But the counterpoint there is, what is the cost of having an economy that in a series of openings and shutdowns, does not give confidence that it's prepared to resume normal life? So I really think we ought to really have on the table again real consideration for the potential of having at least localized lockdowns, localized curfews, that we have specific programs and protocols in place for the hotspots, because we really cannot actually continue with a trend of cases like this.
Now, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaje, however, says the data suggests a different approach.
Most of our cases have been sporadic spikes, and if you are following the update that we are typed and the all update, you see district-specific areas. For example, you can have an increase in the whole of Western region. You have an increase in the Takwan Suaim and secondary Takrady. And we know specifically which institutions have outbreaks that create that large number. Out of that number, you have people who report sick because of the numbers are huge. There are either you can lock down, but also an enhanced contact tracing, the large number of contact tracing, and quickly isolation has worked. A lot of the time, it works in Tema, it works in Ohuasi, and it works in other places like DBN. So those options too are there. And lockdown has its own side to it. There's the social aspect, the social economic aspect, and so you need a good balance. And so when you can use very rapid public health measures to address them, probably that will be the first option.
Let's go into the phone lines now and have a conversation about the enforcement of the face mask directive announced by the president yesterday. Joining us on the line is the Ashanti Regional Minister, Simon Osemensa. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. Seeing that the president announced this yesterday as head of the Regional Security Council, I'm wondering how you're going about this.
Thank you very much. My greetings to your cherished listeners. Actually, after the announcement, today I had a short meeting with the DNI and then the military and police. Tomorrow we are going to have another meeting. We will come out with some of the measures we are going to put in place to ensure that we implement strictly all the directives by the president. Actually, previously we instituted some policies. They were working. Unfortunately, some of the human rights activists raised concerns, raised flags about.
And you're talking about the community service that some of the those arrested for defying the order were made to undertake.
Exactly. Even though we had a lot of applause from the general public, when some of the human rights groups decided to raise red flag. They had no other option to stop. Now the police have been directed to implement the directive of the president and ensure the mandatory enforcement of wearing of face masks. We will meet tomorrow, brainstorm, because the problem we are having here now is that the prisons are choked, the police cells are full. So even when we arrest the people, where to keep them is a major problem. That's why we resorted to the use of some social activities, which we thought will not compound the problems at the cells and the prison. Again, we also realize that when the people are taken to court, with the payments of 12,000, those people cannot afford. And the prisons which are already to go and put more people there. If you are not lucky and get one additional person who even has come and gets into the prison, you can all imagine what's going to happen. So we are trying to brainstorm and see how we can go around all these problems before we come out with the various directives as to how we are going to implement those ways that the president.
Whilst you do the brainstorming, are you considering the fact that the EI that is supposed to back this directive in itself is not ready?
Yes, it's not ready. That is why we are preparing. No, it's better for us to prepare before the EI comes into force, rather than we waiting until the executive instrument is ready and we start preparing. That would be good.
Now, despite the concerns raised about the human rights issues on the measures you put in place, and I'm referring to those you made undertake some social activity as a way of, punishing them as a punitive measure for not wearing the face masks. What would you say the compliance level has been after that?
After that, most people are not actually abiding by the directive. The compliance level has gone down significantly because now we find it difficult to punish them. If you take them to court, they won't get judgment the same day. To take some time. Some of them are reminded and all these things. They take a long period for us to get the results. I think these other ones will have been faster and it was quicker. And the public was very happy with that action. So when such a thing happens, we are living in a democratic situation. And under democratic situation, the bedrock is rule of law. So if somebody raises issue of law, you have to take the issue into serious consideration and then not further the law. That is why we are now brainstorming. Actually, we have not been able to come out with a definite action to be taken. But that is before the EI comes into force, I'm very sure you have had it.
Now, just before we let you go, sir, you're supposed to be helping the assemblies also enforce the restrictions that have been placed on social gatherings and also church activities or religious activities, because now there is some easing of that restriction. What can you report as far as that is concerned? Are your men on the ground monitoring the churches, the mosques, and the markets?
Yes, actually. When some of the restrictions were eased, people who go to church having maximum number of about 100, we directed that the MMD should register all churches within the areas of their jurisdiction, go and look at their premises and know the capacity that they can take. Additionally, we asked them to ban churches in classrooms. With the classroom, even without a COVID, students or people, they were taking about maximum 30, 40 in a classroom. So if you want to take just about maybe 1/4 of even 40, let's take the higher figure of 40, then it means that only 10 people could go into the classroom and worship. So we realized that why do we encourage that? So those worshiping in the classroom, we said no. The logo area because the classrooms are small.
And do you know of any arrest in these, inspections that you are undertaking?
For now, nothing has come to my knowledge, he's not arrested.
Very well. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. That's the Ashanti Regional Minister, Simon Osemensa, speaking to us on the enforcement of the directives announced by President Akufo-Addo, especially on face masks. Now, let's stay on COVID-19, but this time with focus on education. Do what you're comfortable with. If you are safe at home, where you are, please stay there. That's the advice from the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Nanaba Ampia Amfo, to all final year students. The university, in accordance with state directives, reopened partially today for all level 400 students across the country. However, management reminds all that the return is not compulsory. PSN Safo was there and now reports.
It's a chilly morning on the University of Ghana campus, and the rains appear to signal the start of a new way of life for some final year students who showed up today. It's 9 a.m. and Emily Thelma Texan, a final year student, is already at the UG Business School. She lives in Abeka, a suburb of Accra.
Then they told me they are now putting measures in place, so I should wait and come back in the afternoon.
She maintains that she must be here to achieve the best of grades and that all she needs to do is to abide by safety protocols.
There could be distractions at home that you can't be able to learn, so as long as you wash your hands and then you sanitize your hands, I think you'll be fine, and you wear your nose masks, I think you'll be fine.
For many students like Emily, it's been nearly 3 months since the school was shut down, among others, to prevent a spread of COVID-19 after one student was reported to have contracted it. But the announcement of partial resumption 2 weeks ago has not brought the masses yet to Ghana's premier university. The sounds of crowds, cars, cheers, drumming and singing from the performing arts have given way to a deafening silence on campus. The few students that did show up hardly had their nose mask on.
Our masks are in our bags. Okay.
Why?
Because when we started, we've been distanced from other people. You get it? So we've practiced social distance. And the mask, when you should wear it, there's a lot of heat and then you can't really breathe.
I came here to do my exams. Yeah.
But I can see you don't have any nose mask on or anything. Let's talk about safety.
Among others, final year students are to fill COVID-19 screening questionnaires, student hall waiver form agreements that bans visit in the period, and strict adherence to hygiene, as well as the possession of at least 3 reusable face masks. The few around had mixed reactions on their own safety during this period.
Do you feel safe with your studies here?
No,
you don't feel safe.
We don't really feel safe.
Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, in charge of academics and student affairs, Nanaba Apia Amfo, reminded all that relocation to campus is not compulsory.
My message to all students is that students should do what they are comfortable with. If you are happy and safe where you are, please stay there. But if you are not, we have also made arrangements to receive students who wish to come to campus, but it will have to be the choice of the student.
University management toured various halls and facilities to ensure that the highest safety standards were truly being followed. A whooping majority of final year students are yet to troop in or may never do so as they opt for online learning. Meanwhile, the end of semester online examinations for the 2020-2021 academic year continues.
The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology today welcomed 1,500 students amidst the observance of the strict COVID-19 health protocols. Deans and other heads of departments were on hand to ensure adherence. Lava Firm's Erastus Asaridonko was on campus and filed this report.
Behind me is the SRC hostel, and that is where many of the students who are coming back to school after the restrictions have been lifted will be lodging. Now, there are 2 places. Those medical students who will be having their clinicals at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, they have a hostel inside the hospital, and so that is where they will be lodging. But the other students will be lodging here, 1 student per room, unlike previously where we have 4 students in a room. Now, they are also observing very strict COVID-19 health protocols, and it's mandatory if you enter or leave this premises, you must wash your hands, go through all that protocol, wear your nose mask compulsorily before you enter or come out. And they have thermometers in there to check your temperature every time you leave or come back. How has it been like for you, reopening school in the midst of COVID-19?
It's been a bit uneasy because everything is not normal here and there are so many restrictions, but we are trying.
I miss my friends though, but coming back, there are a lot of uncertainties, like we don't even know, you don't know who has contracted it. We want to come back to school, but then because of the virus, we're a little bit scared too.
All of us have our nose masks. I have my sanitizer in my bag, and I think following the rules, we should be okay.
Just behind me is the Department of Pharmacy, and inside the lectures are going on. We're going to go inside to see how the seating arrangements have been done. They are having a lecture on HIV, and we can count about 30 of the students in there, and the way they are spaced, they have made sure that wherever you are seated, you will be able to catch a glimpse or listen to the lecture whilst it's going on. And so screens have been placed in between for students to be able to catch the lecture.
When you are coming in, wash your hands again or sanitize your hands. You heard me telling them as many times as they walk out of this place, if they are coming back, they have to sanitize their hands. Right, and whilst in the classroom, we have told them that they have to keep their masks intact so that they protect themselves and they protect their colleagues.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
Now, the University for Development Studies, UDS, has stepped up surveillance at unapproved routes to the university campuses to ensure COVID-19 protocols are observed. Registrar of the UDS, Dr. ABTK Zakaria, who disclosed this, said the campus has about 12 routes beside the main entrance to the campus. He said thermometer guns have also been provided for the checking of temperature and stands for hand washing as well. Dr. Zakaria said this, the university is accommodating one student in a room.
That students who are outside campus, we don't intend to bring all of them to the campus. Some of them already leave one in a room. Yeah, they leave one in a room, and we think that that is okay for them, provided they will obey the protocols outside campus and when they come onto campus. But we also have information that some of them leave two each in a room. In that case, we have decided that we'll pick those who live two in a room. We'll pick one student each, and then we'll bring them to the campus so that we'll stay in the hostels. On the hostels here, we are putting them one in a room so we can control the situation.
Students, as we know, not all of them would obey these protocols. Staying outside and coming in, won't that endanger the rest of the students?
Yeah, that is true. We have decided that we shall implement to the core all the protocols. We might have problems with students, but we know students are generally difficult. We won't say all of them, but generally students are difficult. But fortunately for us, it appears that the students themselves are very concerned about COVID, and the few of them who are around already are obeying the protocols. So the rest who may be difficult, the few who may be difficult, we have our security persons who insist that they should wear the face mask.
Some of the students who spoke to Joy News raised concerns about the low level of compliance with the wearing of the face masks in Tamale.
I got here, the door was locked, so I knocked. When I knocked, the security came out with the gun thermometer. He checked my temperature. He made me wash my hands with with the soap. Then he gave me sanitizer to sanitize my hands before I could enter and do the necessary procedures by writing my name and showing my receipt.
Okay, so we are told that you're supposed to fill a COVID-19 form.
Yes, please.
Tell me about this form.
Okay, it's a form that It's a form that has you need to put in your name, your room number, your telephone number, and a bit of questionnaires to answer. Do you cough, your temperature, and do you sneeze, all the runny nose, and your signature and other stuff. Yes. But basically, the signs and symptoms of the COVID-19, they are all on the paper.
And when we got here, we got in town, we realized that the mask, the protocol of wearing the mask is not ongoing. When we went to town, we got about only 5 people. We spent about 2 hours there, but only 5 people that we see that they were putting on the mask. We asked them, they are not. They seems that COVID does not exist. That's what they see. That's what they think.
So you feel threatened?
Yeah, you feel threatened. And if you are putting them on the mask, the way even they will look at you, as if you are bringing the COVID here. It's really sad.
And of course, this is your election headquarters. Let's do some politics now. The opposition NDC says out of the 631 campaign promises by the NPP government, only 86 promises have been delivered, representing 14%. This is contrary to Vice President's claim that government has achieved 78% of its manifesto promises. MP for Norton Samuel Okujeto Blakwa, presenting a detailed assessment of government's performance, argued that the 78 score by Dr. Baumia is a scam.
The overall summary will shock you. It will shock you. Now, this is where we talk about the actual delivery. Actual delivery. So we have moved from what the promises they remember and hope that we will, forget the rest. Now we are talking about actual delivery. So this is the overall summary, the sectorial analysis. We have discovered, ladies and gentlemen, that the 631 promises that we listed, after thorough analysis, combing through documents, what they have told us in Parliament, either through the budget, either through the state of the message on the state of the nation, either through question time in Parliament or at the committees when we have summoned ministers to appear before us to answer to their mandate. Ladies and gentlemen, it will shock you to realize that only 86 out of these 631 promises have been delivered. So the percentage achieved is 14%. 14%, not 78%. And we shall prove it. In a few minutes, you will know that we are not joking at all. Agriculture. Out of the 74 promises I told you earlier, only 13 have been delivered. And in subsequent slides, we shall give you a detailed breakdown. We are not just coming to give you numbers, do some quantitative analysis and leave here. No. We will give you the details. The details. Only 18% in terms of the percentage achieved in the agri sector. Chieftaincy and culture. Chieftaincy and culture. My own good uncle from the Volta region, if we were in another jurisdiction, he will be resigning this afternoon. The 7 promises they made, zero achieved at chieftaincy. And there are a number of 0 achieving ministries. And I wonder what the ministers, their deputies, are doing. Economy. 45 promises, only 12 have been delivered. So 27 percentage point achievement. Under education, 38 promises, only 7 delivered, 18%. Energy, 45 to 8, only 8 out of the 45 promises delivered, so 18%. And we have been very generous, as you noticed. When we get into the detail, you'll be wondering why we even gave them some deliveries, because they are not even there, they've not even done 15%. But we were quite charitable because we didn't want to be too hard on people who are really just not performing. They're so abysmal that you just have to try and be considerate. The health sector, 41 promises, only 3 delivered, so only 7 percentage point achievement. If you look at the infrastructure sector, 82 promises, 7 delivered, so only 9% in terms of actual delivery. Lands and natural resources, only 1 delivered out of the 39 promises, 3%. Local government, no, that's another 0 performing ministry. Local government, 0%. We struggled so hard to find just one thing that we could give my own good auntie Hajia Alima, but hard as we tried, she could not leave the 0 percentage point.
But in a quick rebuttal at a news conference, Information Minister Kojopo Nkrumah said the NDC is being intellectually dishonest. He accuses them of falsely and deliberately increasing the manifesto promises of the NPP to arrive at 631 instead of 388 promises.
A lot of drama and flash and screens and repetition in their presentation today. But if you strip it of all the drama and the screens and the flashes, in substance, if you take the form away, in substance, there were 2 main claims they made which the government believes must be corrected in time. One is a claim that while government in its report in February this year outlined 388 promises and accounted for those 388 promises, they have discovered an extra 235 promises which the government of Ghana has hidden or refused to account for. In their opinion, the MPP administration made a total of 631 promises and has been intellectually dishonest, mind the phrase intellectually dishonest, in not accounting for 631 and 388 rather. The purpose of seeking to increase the MPP's promises from 388 to 631 is very simple. It's twofold. As we get into the 2020 national conversation period, one of the narratives that they seek to carve is a narrative of dishonesty. And in order to give life or credence to that narrative, they have to create scenarios that if indeed we made 388 promises, they will find ways of adding to it some 235 and claim that we made 631, and in the end say, therefore, that we have been dishonest. So part of the strategy of increasing our promises from 388 to 631 is to enable them make a claim of dishonesty against this administration.
Now, Mr. Nkrumah also said the NDC does not have the moral authority to engage in manifesto tracking because they failed to fulfill 67% of their 2008 manifesto.
When you compare their first term record of 4 years, promises made and promises that they had completed at the end of 4 years, to where we are yet to complete our 4 years, the results are startling. May I ask my colleagues to project? We have done some work on their manifesto promises 2008 to 2012. And if I have a few minutes, this is just the summary. I want the Excel sheet. No, the Excel sheet. And we will give you copies right from here. We'll give you copies. And we encourage you to ask of them if indeed these are persons who are committed to the question of delivering of promises and fulfilling of a social contract. The first thing they have to do is to explain where they left us on these promises they made in 2008. And we'll leave them for you, several of them. We're going to give you a copy of their 2008 first-term manifesto and benchmark it with our first-term manifesto. And in that analysis, you will find out, please go to the summary, the pie chart at the end on the other sheet. We'll give it to you because we don't want to take too much of your time. You'll find out that about 67% of the individual specific promises they made in 2008, by the end of their tenure in 2012, you will find that they had not touched them, they had not delivered on them. This is the group that now has become the apostles of the fulfillment of social contract. And we'll give it to you, and we encourage you to ask them a few questions about this. It was only 33% of their promises that they had completed or they were in the process of completing by the time that tenure ended.
And of course, this is your election headquarters. We'll be bringing you more of this in our subsequent bulletins. Now, still to come here on Joy News Prime, Ghana Immigration Service intercepts 141 gallons of smuggled fuel along the Aflao border.
We dispatched officers to go there to go and then monitor. True, when we went, we saw packed gallons of fuel.
Sandra has details after this break. Please stay with us.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra SSNIT, and as always, I'm here for business. In our first story tonight, immigration officials at the Flour border have intercepted 140 gallons of illegal fuel. The fuel was packed in a makeshift structure, waiting to be smuggled into Togo. Sector Commander of Immigration Service, Chief Superintendent Fred Dodu, told my colleague Fred Duho the National Petroleum Authority must step up its game in curbing fuel smuggling.
For instance, Saturday, our officers, we had an intelligence that some structures have been erected at some part of the border. So quickly, we dispatched officers to go there to go and then monitor. True, when we went, we saw packed gallons of fuel, which of course we decided to monitor and see if we can get some persons involved or in connection with the goods. We were not getting the people, so quickly we said no. Then let's take custody of the goods. So we brought the goods to the border. In all, we had 141 gallons of fuel which we have brought to the border. I think they need to monitor the filling stations, because this fuel are all bought from the filling stations. So they need to at least engage the filling station managers so that if measures can be put in place, so that when they see these yellow gallons of gallons coming to the filling station to buy fuel, they should refuse to sell it to them.
Chamber of Petroleum Consumers says it will push for license withdrawal of oil marketing companies found to be shortchanging consumers. Chief Executive Secretary of the Chamber is Duncan Amoa.
Take cognizance of the fact that the immigration service here is doing something worth commending. If you recall, not long ago, they've had to seize, several gallons of oil that was being smuggled.
That was actually on Saturday.
Exactly. So not long ago. We need to be here with them and also learn ways to come together to help so that the state doesn't continue losing revenue from some of these illicit, illegal mind games that some of these operators play on all of us. These gallons of fuel, as you see here, would enter. And because there's no tax on them, you and I will go and buy believing we are paying tax to the state. But at the end of the day, we are just paying money into private individuals' pockets. This, we think, should end forthwith. And we commend the immigration service here, and we also want to encourage them to be even more vigilant and be able to stop whatever illegal fuel trade that exists in and around Ghana's borders. We are happy to be here.
In other news tonight, an insurance professional has raised concerns about the insurance policy holders' resolve to cancel their insurance due to the negative impact of COVID-19 pandemic on their lives and businesses. Ghana's economy is said to be badly affected with an already fiscal impact of more than 9.5 billion cedis, partly due to revenue shortfalls, which includes nearly 600 million cedis devoted to the fight against COVID-19. But speaking to Joy Business, Managing Director of Hollard Insurance Ghana, Daniel Ado, says an insurance policy should be the last resort for struggling employees at this crucial time.
These are difficult times for insurers. Insurance is always, a function of how much disposable income you have. So when our clients are losing their jobs or they don't have jobs, definitely will impact the numbers. So we are not in normal times. What I would advise all other insurance companies that in the challenges that we have, find opportunities. Because in every challenge there's an opportunity. So let's find opportunities we'll have in this challenge to come up with new products, new channels, so we can make up for the income we've lost from other places. And I would advise clients and insurance buyers also that this is a very bad time to cancel your insurance products because we are all in times we are not sure of. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. So it would be painful that the policy you've had for 3 years that you cancelled 2 weeks ago, you would need it in 2 months. So I will advise people to just hold on to their insurances during these difficult times, and then let's all try and work together. I think for most insurance companies, we are reasonable. Clients. When you come and speak to your insurer, they will have a conversation with you and give you some policy. That's what you have to do. Cancelling is not the solution.
And that will be all for the first part of business. I'm back after 8 p.m. with more business news updates. Please stay tuned.
Hello, good evening, and thank you for allowing me into your homes on the Sports on Prime. I'm Oriku Ampofo, and we do start from the office of Nilante Vanderpoel, who has accused his successor at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Isaac Esiamwa, of wasting our resources with claims of putting up sports infrastructure. Now, the sports commentator who turned politician in an interview with Joy Sports Mubarak Haruna believes Esiamwa could have done better. There's more in the following report.
Isaac Esiamwa, who is one of the longest-serving sports ministers, has held a couple of sword-cutting events with the aim of developing infrastructure across the nation. The Accra Sports Stadium was refurbished in 2018 prior to the Africa Women's Nations Cup tournament, which was hosted in the country. The Kumasi Sports Stadium is currently undergoing renovation works. Nilante Vanderpoel, who headed the sports ministry from 2016 to 2017, believes the incumbent administration could have done better.
I can tell you for a fact, I don't normally do politics with sports, but I've received so many complaints from people in sports as to what is happening in sports. This government is not doing enough for sports. If somebody get out and say, oh, why are you saying this? They are building infrastructure. What infrastructure are they building? We have football fields where we play league matches. Premier League, Division 1, Division 2. If you leave those fields and go and do recreational parks, in some areas where we don't even have football clubs, you are not developing infrastructure. You are not. You are wasting money.
Esiamwa, during the press briefing of COVID-19 on sports, said his regime will be regarded as the best in terms of sports infrastructure. The former football commentator questioned the infrastructure Esiamwa is praising himself for.
What have you done? Accra Sports Stadium. Look at the turf. Kumasi, look at the turf. Last time Kotoko was playing in the CAF Confederations Cup, it rained, they couldn't play. The second day it rained and it was worse. What have they done about Obuasi? What have they done about Second D? What have they done about Techiman, Sunyani, Bechem? All these places where we are playing Premier League. I have said, the money that Esiamwa has used to go and build a park at Echumamponia should have been used to develop the pitch at the Kumasi Sports Stadium, so that the Kotoko players will have a better pitch to play on, so that they will avoid injuries. It will also make the match interesting. The cameras will pick very good matches, the players will play beautiful football, and it will attract more sponsors and attract more fans.
To some more stories, where the Ghana Swimming Association has opened pools to the general public following government's decision to ease restrictions on non-contact sports. The decision, however, was not without insisting the safety protocols which are observed. There's details in the following report.
Following the announcement on the resumption of non-contact sporting activities by the government of Ghana, the Ghana Swimming Association has opened swimming pools for their athletes. The opening of the pools, however, is not without the guidelines to ensure safety of users. Swimming operators have been given 13 guidelines to ensure they adhere to safety and health protocols put out by the World Health Organization. Operators have been advised to eliminate use of low ventilated spaces and rooms that do not allow for social distancing. The water, they say, must have 2.0 ppm of chlorine to increase its sanitation levels. As was announced by the president for the reopening of religious worship centers, it has become necessary for other sectors to adapt same, as pool operators have been asked to screen athletes, coaches, patrons before they are allowed to practice their acts. recording the names of the athletes, coaches or patrons and their telephone numbers, residential addresses, temperature if they feel ill in any way, specifically listing certain symptoms, and send home those athletes or coaches feeling ill or experiencing any symptoms. These, as many other regulations, have been put together as they gradually resume to active training, awaiting government's permission to organize competitive events.
That was a report by Mubarak Haruna of Joy Sports, but that wraps it up for the first part of the sports segment here on the Joy News Prime. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
And it's now time for Showbiz. Kadi is here with the latest. Hello, Kadi.
Hi.
What's up in Showbiz?
Okay, now I'm starting with a
Looking good, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm starting with a very sad story. This morning we heard of the news of high life musician, high life legend Nana TUFFOUR's passing.
9924.
Yeah,
as they popularly call.
Yeah. A close source to the 66-year-old confirmed this passing to Angie on Daybreak Hits on Hits FM this morning. Now he died at home in the early hours of Monday after a short illness, and his body has been deposited at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. And there's a report. My colleague Komla Adom has come through with a spotlight on the legend.
Sometimes you'd go out to play with the band and return late at night when they are asleep, because you dread coming home to meet them while they are awake. But with time, they got to understand my dream and accepted me.
Now, musician Arabi has confessed that he regrets leaving Shatta Wale after his misunderstanding with the Melissa hitmaker. In an interview with Andy Dusty on Daybreak Hits this morning, he says that he misses being Shatta Wale's hype man, and he just regrets.
So Arabi is a hype man for Shatta Wale.
Was a hype man.
He was a hype man.
Yeah, and then there was.
He was sacked. Is he part of those who were sacked recently?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's been a very long time now. He revealed more in this interview with Andy Dusty on Daybreak Hits.
There's a part of me that loves what I used to do. I loved being his backup artist and his back hype man.
Right.
Yeah, I regretted leaving. Yeah, and there was a part of me that didn't regret because of his people, but I did regret because it put me through so much stress for these years. You understand? Because I had to pay double payola. People won't play my stuffs, you know.
Simply
people
because
won't show me love. Yeah, because one done is like a religion. You need to understand, it's like a religion. Whatever that happens, ups or downs, or you hate him or whatever, he's still gonna get the love he needs. You can't penetrate that with anything.
Private jet, I go buy some. I go drive mama in a phantom. Yeah, I love that song. And you know, one thing I love about Arabi is that he writes his own lyrics, but you know, he needs like some direction, you know, in his lyrical composition. That's how I'll put it, because he's so good. Like Arabi can write a full song from intro to outro, but maybe we might have to put the hook from to the beginning or in the middle, or bring a bridge somewhere. You know, like when you're a songwriter, you know, you need a song arranger, like you know, somebody who can arrange the songs for you. Like Marco Kumante is good with that thing. You know, he has that.
Okay, so that was RB saying that he misses, you know, and he misses being a hype man for Shatta Wale, and he regrets leaving Shatta movement. Now also Kelvin Boy, he's added his voice to the call for racial justice after the death of George Floyd, and he has a new music video out, a new single out called Black Lives Matter. So to
push the campaign.
Yes, so we have for Showbiz for this evening. My name is Kadi, and
thank you very much, Kadi, for bringing us Showbiz. The news ends. For those of you watching on Joy Prime, the news continues on Joy News after this. Let's do some more stories here on Joy News Prime. And pensioners have been sharing personal stories about how they've been shortchanged by the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT. The Forum for Public Sector Registered Pension Association a week ago threatened to embark on a strike if SSNIT fails to come out with the method of computing past credit of pensioners. But SSNIT, in a statement, explained it has been transparent in how it calculates the lump sum and monthly payments. In the following report, Nancy Emefa-Dradozi talks to pensioners about the meager amounts they receive from SSNIT and how those monies are not a true reflection of their contribution to the fund over the years.
Old and frail pensioners chanted, demanding better services from SSNIT. They took turns narrating how they have been shortchanged after many years of active service and rewarded with monies they describe as nothing.
From 1982 to 2009, you are giving me 9,000. And tier 2, only 10 years, are giving me over 20,000 Ghana cedis. I'm entreating all of us to come together with our unions to fight for the others who will be retiring until 20 years to come. If we don't fight now, all those who will be coming later on for the rest of the 20 years are going to be cheated.
For a period of 10 years, they are giving me about 35,000 cedis. That is from 2010 January to 2020. When I assessed my account, it was 35,048 cedis. Just 2,146, which is very bad. So those people are SSNIT, they are siphoning our blood.
Madam Margaret had worked for 42 years. 32 of her contributions were with SSNIT. She says the lump sum given her is woefully inadequate and not a true reflection of her years in the service.
And then 4,476.34 was what was due for me as a pension pay. Really, I wasn't happy.
But Madam Margaret is not alone. Mr. Agre is pained. He cannot bring himself to accept the money he has been given.
For about 26 years, but 16 years, now about 44,200, which is a mega way amount of medical fee. The sister cry and
Chairman of the forum, Isaac Bamplado, reiterated the association's intention to embark on a strike if SSNIT fails to come up with its method of computation.
The question we are asking is, these amounts that SSNIT is paying, has it been approved by the MPRA board? It's a big no. This is from SSNIT. It said, due to the challenges with our OBS IT system, SSNIT has only been paying 75% accrued interest to members thus far. This is your own statement, though. It's not my statement. Did they ever tell you that? Is it not at IE? It's cheating. They are cheating. They are shortchanging you. 447 million. That's how much they spent on administering the funds under their control. These are contributors' money. And then you pay 59 million to contributors, and then you are making it look as if you've done something. They spent on themselves 447 million Ghana cedis, contributors' money. And you pay not check. Yes. Should this go on? Lalai.
The pensioners say they cannot undo what they describe as mistakes by SSNIT. They are hoping that future generation will not be affected.
We shall Now, the New Patriotic Party has suspended 7 of its members for invoking cases on party executives over the disqualification of their parliamentary aspirant at Jabin in the Ashanti region. The fate of the 14 others who have who also behaved in a similar manner at Asokwa Offenso and Ichuman Ponua, will be determined later this week by the party. Some NPP members who were not happy with the party's decision to disqualify their preferred candidate in vote cases. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko has been speaking with a regional party secretary, Sampine, and filed this report.
The NPP's parliamentary primaries, set for the 20th of this month, has attracted many interest. Out of the 121 candidates who declared intentions to contest Ashanti Region's 44 constituencies, 10 failed to make it past the vetting stage, and 15 sitting MPs are to run unopposed. Some party members saw the disqualifications as deliberate attempts to disqualify certain candidates for sitting MPs to have a field day. There were demonstrations and, in some cases, invocation of curses at Jabin, Offenso and Asokwa. Regional Secretary of the party, Sampine, tells Love News 7 people have been suspended from the party and others are to follow.
Per the Article 3 of our Constitution, one key thing is that when the party takes a decision, it's incumbent upon party members to accept those decisions, adhere to the decisions, and propagate it positively. If you go contrary to that, it's a misconduct. Again, the act of invoking the gods, which is alien to our party, constitutes misconduct because as another duty of the member is that you don't do actions. Your acts or your actions or inaction shouldn't tarnish the image of the party. There's a fact that in Ashanti region, we have about 3-4 constituencies: Offenso, Jabin, Asokwa, and Ichuman Ponua, having people who were contrary to parties' decisions, and therefore we have 7 people suspended in Jabin, and we have about 7 of them from Offenso who are yet to be suspended because we need to go through certain process, and about 3 people from Asokwa, and about 4 people from Ichuman Ponua that we are going to deal with. But those who have received letters now are 7 people from a Jabin constituency, and we're expecting to also deal with that. That's from the same constituency and from other constituencies.
He says an arbitration committee is in place to quell any rising tension within the party.
As a political entity, we need to build bridges, and therefore in Ashanti region, we have our reconciliation and arbitration committee, which has membership, which include Dr. Kwame Adokufo, Mr. Honorable S.K. Boafo, Mami Dokuya, Yamankwa, the former regional chairman of the party, and they are going to deal with these matters where we have instances of disgruntled elements, instances of people who feel hurt and all that. They are going to deal with these matters. We are not going to sit down and look on as a political party.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
You're still watching Joy News Prime with me, and this minute we're taking a break. When we return, Sandra will bring you some more business news.
Welcome back to business. A coalition of men's gold customers is calling for the arrest of Chief Executive Officer of Gold Dealership Nana Apia Mensah. This follows a recent announcement by the men's gold CEO claiming to have paid affected customers to the tune of 9.6 million cedis. He further pledged the company is committed to settling about 60 million in total by the end of 2020. But coalition of aggrieved customers of men's gold described the claim as a fallacy.
Put on record that that's the letter caption to whom it may concern, full of falsehood and another demonstration of the criminality on the part of men's gold leadership. One, the issue about 9.6 million Ghana cedis having been paid to customers is false. And 2, it demonstrates criminality. Why are we saying that? 1, men's gold accounts were frozen by Iyoko by a court order. And when he came from his hideout, from wherever he went in Europe or the Americas, he told the world that his account has been frozen, and he begged the government to unfreeze the account. We have not heard that those accounts was unfreezed or whatever. So we do not know when he had money to pay the 9.6 million. From which account did he pay those monies?
But you agree with me that he had a pending case in Dubai, of which he was demanding a certain amount of money, and that money may have come, and probably that's, and we know that from what we've heard, that he won that case. If indeed he won the case, then the money is in.
We have also heard that from our source that money is in. If the money is in, that money belongs to Men's Gold customers, and it should be properly handled. That is why we are calling on the government to arrest Namwan immediately, confiscate all the assets and the bank account or whatever, and government should take over the payment. If government leaves payment to Namwan, if government says that Namwan should deal with his customers, he will bring another pay boy. Recently he brought pay boy. The next time we don't know the pay whatever he will bring.
Yeah, but I was even going to ask you, the pay boy that was brought on board recently, is it the same as the old pay boy, or is it a different pay boy?
What we knew was the old pay boy that was demanding 9%, 20%, and 30% from customers from the already locked up investment. Per Iyoko's arrest on 27th May 2020, and the letter that was released by Payboy itself, that company, that scheme was a scam. And as we speak, we were told that not less than 500 people were trapped into that one, that their monies are also locked up. So we have second victims from Namwan. And so Namwan claiming to have paid 9.6 is a fallacy, total fallacy. This must not happen in this current generation. It is very bad. It sends a bad signal to the people who are to enforce our laws. That is why we are calling on the president, the chairman of the national security, to order immediate arrest of Namwan, and also pay our locked up investment from the consolidated fund.
Why should government go into the consolidated fund to pay your locked up fund?
Because we have sat down and done some analysis and some observation. Government shut down Men's Gold. One, government shut down savings and loan scheme. Both of them, government said that they have flouted the rules, the law. Okay. Then government takes a political decision. I'm not looking at parties. I'm looking at policy decision that I'm going to pay the customers of these collapsed banks and the savings and loan scheme. Then, and government did not tell them to go chase after the directors of those savings and loan scheme. Then now the same government which collapsed Men's Gold, because I've demonstrated to you that whether you are licensed or not is immaterial before the law, says that go after Namwan. I mean, we think that is unfair. And if this country, our motto is freedom and justice, then I believe that we must also be treated justly.
And that money should come from the consolidated fund.
Away from that, Brent crude sold for $39.42 a barrel. Gold went for $1,721.41, announced this more in the commodity news. Thanks so much for watching. Let's do it the same time tomorrow. But in the meanwhile, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news updates. My name is Sandra Esenamapeno.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the second part of the sports segment on Prime with me, Oriku Ampofo. We do start off from some Ghana news, and Dr. Kwame Banyako, who is the chairman of the Club Licensing Board, has stated that Ghana Premier League clubs have to appoint a fund managing officer to be able to keep up in terms of their finances.
The club licensing regulations governs the structures required for a successful management of a football team. Before the commencement of the current suspended football season, only inter-allies out of the 18 Premier League teams met all the necessary requirements of the regulations and were fully licensed. Though details of the regulations are not fully known to the general public and football fans, one area the media lenses concentrate on is the playing grounds of these teams. Kwame Banuaku has revealed that it is not only the playing field that is mandatory, but clubs might also have fund managers.
With club licensing, from the kind of regulations that we are putting in place at the FA, with club licensing, guiding the clubs as to what. For instance, one of the FIFA club licensing regulations related to fund development. Each club is supposed to appoint a fund development officer whose main role, only job at the club is to think about how I attract the next Kotoko supporter, the issue you wanted to bring. How to attract somebody like me. Corporate world, I get a monthly income, probably I have more than 100 cedis to spare every month. I'll be able to spare 100 Ghana cedis if somebody convinces me that Kotoko are moving in this direction, and that way the 100 cedis over a certain period, so much money can be raised and we can do A, B, C, D. Then I can see the club growing and I will be prepared to put money in. That's the kind of marketing that Kotoko and House of Oak and other clubs needs to do.
Mr. Banuaku advised clubs, especially House of Oak and Asante Kotoko, to consider having a fund development manager as part of their administrations.
It doesn't take much to be able to do that, especially in these times where financial services has developed so well in Ghana. Mobile money, standing order, whatever, card payments, you can all do these things. I think the time is ripe for the people running Kotoko and House of Oak to start thinking about fund development.
Well, that's all the time would allow us for here on the sports segment on the Joy News Prime. My name is Oreku Wampofo, and do remember to always stay safe.
And that'll be it for Joy News Prime. Many thanks for your company this morning. When you log on to myjoyonline.com, Hotline documentary is next. Please stay.